Welcome to an exploration of the intricate mind of Kim Jong-un, the dominant ruler of North Korea. We delve into the psyche of this dictator, uncovering the dance of survival, fear, and aspiration that defines his rule. Picture a mind inebriated by the potent mixture of unchallenged authority, yet persistently tormented by the potential for rebellion, an experience unique to North Korea's authoritarian regime. The quest for control in this scenario becomes as indispensable as the air he breathes. The labyrinthine mind of Kim Jong-un, his thirst for power mutating from a simple desire to an unchecked obsession, incarnates the true nature of dictatorship. Nurtured by authority and dominance, this relentless desire intensifies with every taste of absolute power. But his obsession doesn't stop at the political arena. It permeates his personal life, sculpting his reality in his own image. Power, although seductive, carries its own burdens. The whispering paranoia of betrayal and conspiracy. In the heart of Kim Jong-un, trust is an elusive luxury, often too costly to afford. Everyone is a potential traitor, every whispered conversation, a potential threat. However, this paranoia isn't weakness. Instead, it serves as a survival strategy, keeping the leader forever vigilant and geared for any looming threats. Skillfully navigating this complex world, Kim Jong-un emerges as a master manipulator, deftly controlling the narratives of society and the elite alike. He crafts realities, strategies tailored to North Korea, that keep his populace submissive. This manipulation not only showcases his power, but reveals his astute understanding of human psychology. This intricate dance of power and control leads us to the engrossing concept of the dictator's dilemma, a delicate balance between oppression and loyalty, a ceaseless tug of war between fear and admiration, a predicament unique to ruling North Korea. Kim Jong-un must exert enough force to control, yet inspire enough loyalty to stave off rebellion. To truly comprehend his actions, we delve deeper into his psyche. This journey takes us into a world of stark contradictions, a landscape where power and fear, control and paranoia, manipulation and loyalty exist in a volatile equilibrium. A world as intriguing as it is daunting. Before we delve into the rise of a dictator, let's take a moment to examine the unique circumstance that shaped Kim Jong-un's path to power. The Kim Dynasty, a lineage of rulers spanning 3 generations, has been the unchallenged authority in North Korea since its inception. Kim Jong-un didn't simply wake up one day with a hunger for power, he was born into it. The mantle of authority was passed down from his grandfather, Kim Il-sung, the revered founder of North Korea, to his father, Kim Jong-il, and finally to him. This hereditary rule is a rarity in the world of dictators, and it comes with its own set of challenges. The weight of legacy can be a heavy burden. As the third Kim to lead North Korea, Jong-un was born into a narrative that was painstakingly crafted by his predecessors. This narrative raised the Kims from mere humans to near-divine figures, an image that he must tirelessly uphold. The expectation is not merely to rule, but to embody an ideal, an image of invincibility and omnipotence. It is this mythology that fuels the regime's authority and secures its survival. But this power is paradoxical. On one hand, it shields him with a cloak of invincibility, but on the other, it leaves him constantly on guard against betrayal, even from within his own circle. The fear of treachery is a constant companion for a dictator, even more so for one born into power. The pressure of living up to the legacy while constantly looking over one's shoulder is the crucible in which the dictator Kim Jong-un was forged. This complex dynamic between power, fear, and expectation shapes his psychological makeup, his actions, and ultimately, his rule. As we peel back the layers of the Kim Dynasty and the rise of a dictator, it's important to understand the mechanisms that enable such an absolute concentration of power. For Kim Jong-un, achieving and maintaining control relies heavily on a strategy of suppression, fear, and manipulation. Kim's rule is characterized by frequent purges, a brutal method of eliminating potential threats to his power. A notable example is the execution of Kim's uncle, Jang Song-taek, once considered the second most powerful figure in North Korea. Accused of treason and corruption, his very public downfall served as a chilling reminder of Kim's ruthlessness and his willingness to eliminate anyone perceived as a threat, regardless of their rank or familial ties. But purges are just one part of Kim's fear-based leadership strategy. His regime also employs extensive surveillance and a secret police force to keep both the elites and the general population in check. Public executions are not uncommon, serving as a stark warning to anyone who dares to defy the regime. This climate of fear ensures not only obedience but also loyalty, as survival becomes synonymous with allegiance to the leader. Control, however, extends beyond physical suppression. Kim's regime wields total control over information, using propaganda and isolation to construct an omnipotent image of the leader. State-controlled media glorifies Kim, portraying him as an invincible hero, while foreign media is heavily censored. This cult of personality is further reinforced by the country's isolation from the rest of the world, creating an echo chamber where Kim's power is unchallenged and absolute. In essence, Kim Jong-un's need for total control is manifested in his suppression of internal threats, his fear-based leadership, and his control over information, all of which contribute to his iron grip on power. Moving beyond the internal mechanisms of control, Kim Jong-un also faces the daunting task of managing external threats. Central to this balancing act is North Korea's nuclear weapons program, a formidable shield that deters foreign intervention. This nuclear arsenal, built up over the years despite international condemnation and sanctions, serves to project strength and ensure the survival of Kim's regime. It's a strategy that straddles the fine line between deterrence and provocation, a game of brinkmanship that keeps the world on its toes. Key moments, such as the unprecedented summits with former US President Donald Trump, underscore Kim's diplomatic gambits. Oscillating between displays of aggression and gestures of diplomacy, he navigates the international stage with calculated precision. Each move is designed to gain concessions, be they economic, political, or symbolic, while preserving his regime's power and control. Yet these tactics do not come without their challenges. The international sanctions imposed on North Korea for its nuclear activities have dealt a blow to the country's economy. Isolation has further exacerbated these economic hardships. Despite these challenges, Kim Jong-un continues to exploit the situation, using it to fuel nationalist sentiments and reinforce his narrative of a nation under siege. In essence, Kim's management of external threats involves a precarious balancing act. He uses his nuclear arsenal as a shield and a bargaining chip, engages in diplomatic gambits to secure concessions, and navigates the challenges of sanctions and isolation, all in a bid to preserve his regime's power and control. As we peel back the layers of Kim Jong-un's rule, we find ourselves confronted with a complex economic and social landscape. Despite the international sanctions and isolation, North Korea's economy has managed to stay afloat, albeit precariously. Much of this is attributed to a network of illicit activities that the regime has come to rely on. Black markets, smuggling, and limited trade with China have become lifelines for the North Korean economy. These shadowy networks not only generate revenue for the regime, but also provide a lifeline to ordinary North Koreans, offering them access to goods and services that would otherwise be unavailable. However, this reliance on illicit activities and foreign trade has inadvertently opened a Pandora's box. Exposure to foreign media, markets, and smuggled goods is slowly eroding the regime's ideological control. North Koreans are becoming increasingly aware of the stark disparity between their lives and those in the outside world. This exposure is creating cracks in Kim Jong-un's control, threatening to undermine the carefully crafted narrative that the regime has propagated. In response to these challenges, Kim Jong-un has adopted a strategy of balancing fear and favor. On one hand, he has implemented limited economic reforms, providing some semblance of economic relief to the masses and privileges to the elites. These measures are designed to placate the populace and maintain the loyalty of the elites, a crucial pillar of his regime's stability. On the other hand, he continues to suppress dissent with an iron fist, ensuring that any threat to his rule is swiftly and ruthlessly quashed. This delicate balancing act between fear and favor, between control and concession, is a cornerstone of Kim Jong-un's rule. As we delve deeper into the rise of a dictator, we will see how these strategies play a crucial role in their ascent to power. Absolute power comes at an absolute cost. Beneath the facade of the omnipotent leader lies a man trapped in a gilded cage of his own making. Kim Jong-un, like many dictators before him, lives a life of extreme isolation and paranoia. He is constantly on guard, always looking over his shoulder for signs of betrayal. This fear is not unfounded. History is littered with tales of dictators overthrown by those closest to them. As a result, trust is a scarce commodity, even within the confines of his own family. His brother, once a potential rival for the throne, was assassinated in a foreign land, a chilling reminder of the deadly stakes of this Game of Thrones. This paranoia is not limited to his personal relationships. It permeates every aspect of his rule, influencing his policy decisions and strategic calculations. It's a vicious cycle. The more he tightens his grip on power, the more isolated he becomes, the more paranoid he grows. Amidst these personal struggles, rumors about Kim's health have been circulating. These rumors, if true, could have significant implications for the future of the regime. They highlight the vulnerability of a system that is so heavily dependent on a single individual. They raise questions about succession, about the stability of the regime, about the potential for power struggles and chaos. But for now, these remain mere speculations. As we turn our attention to the rise of a dictator, we will delve into the strategies and tactics they employ to ascend to power and maintain their rule. The journey to dictatorship is fraught with challenges and dangers, but for those who succeed, the rewards are immense. Absolute power, absolute control, and a legacy that will endure long after they're gone. As we delve deeper into the intricacies of dictatorship, we encounter a looming question: what happens when the dictator is no more? The future of Kim's rule and North Korea is shrouded in uncertainty. The lack of a clear successor poses a significant risk to the stability of the regime. In a system where power is concentrated in one individual, the transition of power is fraught with danger. It can lead to power struggles, internal strife, and even chaos. North Korea's youth, meanwhile, are growing increasingly disillusioned with Kim's rule. They are exposed to foreign media and culture, challenging the state's narrative and raising questions about their own society. Economic struggles, too, are putting pressure on the regime. Despite Kim's efforts to modernize the economy, North Korea remains one of the poorest countries in the world. The people are growing weary of economic hardship and deprivation. International pressure is another factor that could destabilize Kim's rule. The regime has long been a pariah on the international stage, facing sanctions and isolation due to its nuclear program and human rights abuses. As the pressure mounts, the regime's ability to maintain control could falter. The dictator's dilemma is thus intensified. Kim's efforts to maintain power have only served to deepen his isolation and heighten his fears. The more he clings to power, the more precarious his position becomes. This creates a vicious cycle, with Kim becoming increasingly paranoid and isolated as he struggles to hold on to power. As we explore the rise of a dictator, we must also consider the potential fall. The future of Kim's rule is uncertain, and the implications for North Korea and the world are profound. As we continue to peel back the layers of dictatorship, we will see that the path to power is not a one-way street. It's a complex journey, fraught with challenges, dangers, and the constant threat of instability. But how does one become a dictator? Let's trace their journey. The rise of a dictator is seldom an overnight occurrence. It's a gradual process, often taking years or even decades to come to fruition. It begins with an individual who possesses an insatiable lust for power, a charismatic personality, and a ruthless disregard for democratic norms. These individuals are usually born into a world fraught with political instability and economic crises. They grow up witnessing societal divisions, disparities of wealth, and the struggles of the common people. These experiences shape their worldview and fuel their ambition to rise above the chaos and seize control. In their early years, they learn the art of manipulation and persuasion. They learn to exploit the fears and grievances of the people, promising them a better future under their rule. They position themselves as the saviors of the nation, the only ones capable of restoring order and prosperity. As they climb the ladder of power, they strategically align themselves with influential allies, consolidating their position within the political hierarchy. They navigate the treacherous waters of power politics with cunning and ruthlessness, eliminating rivals and silencing opposition. Once they ascend to the pinnacle of power, they swiftly move to consolidate their rule. They dismantle democratic institutions, suppress civil liberties, and instigate a culture of fear and obedience. They craft a cult of personality around themselves, portraying themselves as infallible leaders, chosen by destiny to lead their nation to glory. But their rise to power is not just the result of their individual ambition and cunning. It's also a product of the conditions that allow them to thrive. Political instability, economic crises, societal divisions, these are the fertile grounds in which the seeds of dictatorship are sown. In the end, the rise of a dictator is a complex interplay of personal ambition, societal conditions, and political maneuvering. It's a journey that begins in chaos, and ends in the absolute concentration of power in the hands of a single individual. The path to dictatorship is often paved with chaos and opportunity. Now that we've seen their rise, what about their rule? How does a dictator maintain control? In the labyrinth of power, a dictator's rule is often marked by a complex tapestry of control mechanisms. The first, and perhaps most visible, is propaganda. This is the dictator's tool to craft a narrative, to shape reality in the eyes of the people. It paints a picture of a world that would crumble without the dictator's guidance, a world that owes its existence to their leadership. Propaganda is often coupled with censorship, a ruthless tool used to silence dissenting voices and control the information flow. It's a strategic move to keep the populace in the dark, to ensure they only see the world through the dictator's lens. Then there are the purges, a brutal but effective means to instill fear and ensure obedience. These are not just acts of violence, but calculated moves to eliminate potential threats and assert dominance. Purges serve as a chilling reminder of the dictator's absolute power, a power that can extinguish lives at will. Of course, one cannot overlook the personality cults, the deity-like status conferred upon the dictator. These cults are meticulously cultivated, transforming the dictator from a mere mortal into a larger-than-life figure, an object of unwavering loyalty and devotion. The dictator becomes the nation's heart and soul, their very identity intertwined with the country's destiny. But beneath this iron facade, a dictator's rule is also marked by a psychological toll. Paranoia becomes a constant companion, ever whispering of threats, both real and imagined. Every ally could be a potential enemy, every word of praise could mask a dagger of betrayal. This paranoia often leads to isolation, as the dictator retreats into a fortress of solitude. They become a prisoner of their own power, trapped in a gilded cage of their own making. The world outside becomes a distant echo, a distorted reflection of their fears and desires. And yet, despite the paranoia, despite the isolation, the dictator remains steadfast, their grip on power unyielding. They navigate the treacherous waters of power politics with a ruthless determination, their gaze fixed on the horizon, their resolve unwavering. They rule with an iron fist, their reign marked by a harsh and unyielding resolve. They are the puppet masters, their hands pulling the strings of their subjects, their will shaping the course of their nation's history. But this control comes at a cost. A dictator's rule is a delicate balancing act, a constant struggle to maintain the illusion of invincibility. It's a game of shadows and mirrors where the slightest crack in the facade could spell doom. Through fear and manipulation, a dictator's rule is maintained. Their reign is a testament to the power of control, a chilling reminder of what happens when power is concentrated in the hands of one. Yet, beneath the surface, it's a world of paranoia and isolation. A world where the dictator is both the puppeteer and the puppet. A dictator's rule is not just about power, it's about control. It's about shaping reality, about weaving a narrative that keeps the populace in check. It's a world where fear and manipulation reign supreme, where dissent is silenced and obedience is rewarded. Through fear and manipulation, a dictator's rule is maintained. The effects of a dictatorship ripple far beyond their borders. But what exactly are these impacts? Let's delve into this question by first looking at the domestic effects. A dictator, in consolidating power, often stifles individual freedoms and infringes on human rights. Citizens live in a state of constant fear and oppression. The media is censored, dissent is quashed, and the rule of law is often manipulated to serve the dictator's whims. The economic impact can be equally devastating. Dictatorships often prioritize military spending and personal enrichment over public welfare. This leads to widespread poverty and economic stagnation. Infrastructure crumbles, education suffers, and innovation is stifled. The economy becomes a fragile house of cards, ready to collapse at the slightest tremor. But the impact of a dictatorship is not confined within its borders. It reverberates on the international stage as well, often leading to heightened tensions and conflicts. The unpredictable and aggressive actions of a dictator can destabilize entire regions, leading to a ripple effect felt worldwide. Moreover, dictatorships often fuel refugee crises. The oppressive conditions drive many to flee their homeland, seeking safety and better opportunities elsewhere. This displacement of people not only causes humanitarian crises but also puts pressure on neighboring countries and international relations. But within this bleak reality, there is a glimmer of hope. A dictatorship, by its very nature, sows the seeds of its own downfall. The suppression of rights and freedoms often leads to resistance, both overt and covert. History is replete with instances where the iron grip of a dictator has been loosened by the collective will of the people. So while the impacts of a dictatorship are far-reaching and often devastating, they also have the potential to ignite change. The human spirit, with its inherent desire for freedom and justice, is resilient. It rises time and again against the shackles of oppression, reminding us that even in the darkest corners of dictatorship, hope can bloom. The impact of a dictatorship is far-reaching, both within and beyond its borders. So, what have we learned about the mind of a dictator? We've delved deep into the psyche of a totalitarian ruler, dissecting the interplay of fear and power that shapes their actions. We've seen how certain conditions, often characterized by societal instability and political vacuum, pave the way for the rise of dictators. We have explored how these leaders employ an intricate web of control mechanisms, from propaganda to repression, to maintain their rule. Their decisions, driven by a relentless desire for control, send ripples not just within their nation, but across the global political landscape. We've also touched upon the paradox known as the dictator's dilemma. The more they tighten their grip, the more they risk inciting resistance. It's a perpetual balancing act, a game of chess played on a national scale. In the mind of a dictator, control is everything, and the struggle for it defines their rule. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the mind of a dictator. We hope this exploration has provided you with a unique perspective on the intricate mechanisms of power and control. But our journey doesn't end here. Here at Ghostly Legends, we delve into the unknown, the unexplored, and the downright mysterious. We bring these stories to light, unraveling the threads of truth hidden within them. If you've enjoyed this journey, consider subscribing to our channel for more unique and insightful content. We've got many more fascinating topics lined up for you, from the unexplained mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle to the enigmatic world of secret societies. So, stay tuned and prepare to dive into the world of the unknown. Remember, in the world of ghostly legends, the truth is often stranger than fiction. Subscribe now, and join us in uncovering the mysteries of our world. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and most importantly, stay curious.